Life does not break you softly. It does not warn you. It strikes when you least expect it. The weak collapse. They scream, they beg, they hope someone will save them, but no one is coming. And in that silence, you face the truth. If your mind is fragile, you will be destroyed. If your mind is strong, you will rise cold, calm, and unshaken. This is the law of survival Machiavelli understood. The world rewards control, not comfort. You are not here to feel safe. You are here to become untouchable. And when pain tears through your life, it is giving you the only chance that matters, to train your mind to be steel. Most people search for escape when life crushes them. They run to distractions, to noise, to false hope. But escape makes you weaker. A mind that hides from pain will always be owned by it. The law is simple. You must face it. You must sit inside the fire without flinching. Why does this matter? Because everything you want, power, respect, independence, rests on one thing: your mind's ability to endure when everything else fails. If you train it, you no longer fear betrayal, loss, or chaos. If you do not, you stay trapped as prey in a world ruled by predators. By the end, you will hold a method, a way of thinking that stands unbothered in storms, a way of acting that gives nothing away, a way of living that cannot be broken. That is the cold truth waiting for you at the end of this path. When life breaks you, the first instinct you feel is not strength, not clarity, but the hunger for comfort. It is automatic. You want to reach for something that dulls the sharp edge of pain. You look for a soft place to land, for someone to tell you it will be all right, for a distraction to erase the weight you feel inside your chest. It is the same every time. The mind collapses into craving relief. That craving is the first chain around your neck. You must see it for what it is. Comfort is not your ally. Comfort is the sedative that keeps you weak. It whispers that you deserve rest, distraction, indulgence. But beneath the whisper lies betrayal. Every moment you give to comfort when pain strikes is a moment you give up the chance to grow harder, sharper, and colder. Comfort keeps you soft. It keeps you dependent on things outside yourself. It keeps you exposed. You cannot chase comfort. You must chase control. When the storm rips your life apart, resist the impulse to run from it. Stay. Sit in the wreckage. Watch how your mind begins to panic, how your heart begins to scream for something, anything to make the feeling stop. And then refuse. Refuse to move. Refuse to reach for distraction. Refuse to soothe yourself with illusions. Let the discomfort strike you full force. It will feel endless at first, but it is not. It is a fire that eventually burns itself out if you do not feed it. Most people cannot do this. They escape into noise. They bury themselves in screens, in endless scrolling, in substances that dull the edges, in the arms of people who will never stay. They mistake relief for strength. But relief is weakness. The more they feed it, the weaker they become. They never build the mental muscle to stand on their own. They are forever at the mercy of pain, forever desperate for someone or something to rescue them. They are owned. You must be different. You must teach your mind that no storm controls you. You do it by sitting still when everything inside wants to flee. Breathe slow. Inhale as if you are gathering the fire inside your lungs. Exhale as if you are starving the weakness. Do not allow your hands to reach for your phone. Do not allow your mouth to beg for comfort. Do not allow your mind to spiral into helpless stories. Simply observe. Watch the chaos rise and fall. Watch your own craving shrink the longer you starve it. This practice is not about denial. It is about domination. You are showing your mind that you are the master, not the servant. Every time you resist the temptation of comfort, you carve deeper lines of discipline into your brain. You are rewiring it to remain calm under pain instead of collapsing. This is the most brutal training you will ever face, and no one will see you do it. There is no applause for sitting alone in the fire. But that silence is where you forge the only strength that cannot be broken. Do not expect understanding from others. They will look at you and call you cold. They will wonder why you no longer cry to them, why you no longer run to them with your pain, why you sit in silence instead of broadcasting your suffering. Let them wonder. Coldness is not a flaw. Coldness is control. You are not rejecting feeling. You are rejecting dependence, and dependence is what destroys men. In time, you will feel the difference. The weak beg for comfort when pain strikes. The strong do not. They welcome the fire. They use it. They let it harden their focus. When you no longer fear pain, when you no longer run from it, when you can sit in its center and remain unmoved, you have crossed into a territory very few will ever enter. That territory is where freedom lives. Because if pain cannot move you, nothing can. Comfort is the first trap. Control is the first victory. Each time you resist the easy escape, you take another step toward becoming untouchable. That is how you train your mind when life breaks you. Not by running to safety, but by teaching yourself that you never needed safety at all. The second trap waits beneath the first. Once comfort fails to control you, emotion tries to finish the job. Pain arrives and your mind explodes with feelings: rage, sadness, despair, betrayal. Each one demands that you move, that you lash out, that you prove yourself, that you react without calculation. This is the oldest trick of the world. If your emotions govern you, you are already defeated. Understand this truth. A man ruled by emotion is a man owned by everyone else. They push one button and you erupt. They say one word and you collapse. They abandon you and you chase. They lie and you argue. Every move you make becomes predictable. You are not acting, you are reacting. And once you are predictable, you are powerless. You must discipline your emotions or live as their slave. Do not mistake this for numbness. You are not here to feel nothing. You are here to feel everything without surrendering to it. There is a difference. The weak think emotional outbursts are authenticity. They believe exploding in anger proves they are real. They believe crying in public shows courage. They believe arguing proves their strength. It does not. It proves their leash is short and visible to everyone. You must learn to become precise. When emotion strikes, you do not act at once. You watch. You let the heat rise in your chest, and you breathe until it cools. You measure. You wait. You choose. The rule is simple. No movement without calculation. If the words you speak do not serve strategy, you say nothing. If the action you want to take does not strengthen your position, you do not move. If the feeling is strong but the logic is weak, you discard the feeling. This is discipline, not silence for its own sake, but silence that starves weakness. You keep your face still when provoked. You keep your tone steady when lied to. You keep your movements calm when others flail. You reveal nothing even as you feel everything. This is the art of command. Others cannot read you. They cannot predict you. They begin to fear you because you are no longer playing by the same rules. They shout, but you do not echo. They lie, but you do not argue. They insult, but you do not flinch. They are left exposed while you remain unreadable. This is how you invert power. They expect fire. You give ice. They expect noise. You give silence. They expect reaction. You give calculation. The contrast terrifies them. They cannot manipulate what they cannot predict. They cannot control what does not respond. This is Machiavellian psychology at its sharpest. The man who disciplines his emotions does not need to be feared for his aggression. He is feared because no one knows what lies behind his calm. Practice this in the smallest battles. When someone interrupts you, do not rush to reclaim your voice. Pause. Let the silence weigh heavier than words. When someone disrespects you, do not rant. Look at them once, then move as if they no longer exist. When someone provokes you, remember the rule. Their goal is to own your reaction. If you give it, you are already conquered. If you deny it, you remain untouchable. You will not be praised for this. The world will call you distant, detached, cold. Let them. What they call coldness is simply strength they cannot manipulate. They want you to bleed on command, and when you refuse, they panic. That panic is proof of your power. Do not believe the lie that your emotions define you. They do not. They expose you. They reveal where you are weak, where you are still reactive, where others still have access. Your task is not to deny emotion, but to starve it of control. Feel, but do not move. Observe, but do not obey. When you act, act as if you are playing chess, not checkers. Every move calculated, every reaction chosen, every step designed to sharpen position, not to soothe the ego. The weak are emotional, the strong are disciplined. The weak believe authenticity is reacting. The strong know authenticity is control. You are not here to prove you feel. You are here to prove you rule yourself. That is what separates rulers from servants. That is what makes you dangerous in silence. Emotion is the enemy of power. Discipline is its weapon. Once you learn to master the storm inside, the storms outside cannot touch you. That is how you train your mind to be strong when life breaks you. Not by being numb, but by being untouchable. The third trap is the story you tell yourself. When life crushes you, you start building a narrative around the pain. You say you were betrayed, abandoned, robbed, or cursed. You repeat it until it becomes identity. You cling to it as if suffering defines you. But the truth is brutal. The story you repeat is the prison you stay inside. Weak men make their pain into personality. They wear it like a mark, showing it to anyone who will listen, hoping for sympathy. They think recognition heals them, but sympathy does not heal. Sympathy chains you tighter to the same wounds. Every time you tell the world what happened to you, you give your past power to control your present. You remain broken because you keep kneeling before the same story. Rewrite the story or stay broken. You must stop calling pain your truth. It is not truth. It is a test. It is not identity. It is an event. Do not make your scars into your name. Destroy the old script. Refuse to speak of yourself as damaged. Refuse to beg for understanding. The world does not care about the details of your suffering. It only cares about what you become after it. When betrayal comes, the weak tell everyone how cruel it was. The strong rewrite it as a lesson in vigilance. When failure comes, the weak replay it endlessly in their heads. The strong rewrite it as experience purchased at a high cost. When loss comes, the weak cling to mourning as proof of depth. The strong rewrite it as training in detachment. The difference is not what happened. The difference is the narrative written afterward. This is what Machiavelli understood. Perception is power. Control the story and you control the meaning. Control the meaning and you control the mind. If you let your wounds tell the story, you remain their servant. If you take the pen back, you turn wounds into weapons. The next time your mind begins to replay old pain, cut the scene short. Stop narrating what others did to you. Start narrating who you became because of it. Shift from victim to strategist, from broken to sharpened, from betrayed to calculating, from abandoned to independent. These words are not illusions. They are orders to your own mind. Speak them until the old story dies. You must kill the version of yourself that clings to pity. That version is a liability. It seeks comfort, validation, and approval. You cannot carry that weakness into the future. Let it die. Bury it in silence. Walk forward without announcing the funeral. When people try to remind you of your past, let them talk to a ghost. That man no longer exists. Rewriting the story is not about denial, it is about control. You are the only one who decides what your suffering means. If you make it weakness, you will remain weak. If you make it strength, you rise. That choice belongs only to you, and once you take it, no one can ever define you again. Stay broken if you wish, but if you want to rule yourself, then burn the script you were handed. Write a new one in cold blood and live it. The next trap is attachment. Attachment feels warm, loyal, even noble. You convince yourself it is love. You convince yourself it is loyalty. You tell yourself that clinging to people or outcomes proves your strength. But in truth, attachment is the most silent killer of mental power. It is the weight that bends even the strongest spine. Attachment is dependency disguised as devotion. You wait for calls, for attention, for recognition. You lower standards to keep someone close. You bend your values to avoid being alone. You think loyalty binds you together, but in truth, it enslaves you. A mind tied to something external is already weak, because whatever can be taken away will be, and the moment it goes, so does your peace. Kill attachment, build inner power. Never bind your peace to anything outside yourself, not to people, not to outcomes, not even to the image you hold of who you think you should be. The world is unstable, people are unreliable, outcomes are unpredictable. If your happiness depends on them, you will live in constant fear. Fear of loss, fear of betrayal, fear of disappointment. Fear keeps you weak. Detachment is not cruelty. Detachment is clarity. It allows you to move without chains, to choose without desperation, to act without fear of loss. Detachment does not mean you cannot love. It means you do not kneel before the need to be loved in return. It does not mean you cannot hope. It means you do not collapse if the hope dies. Machiavelli understood that rulers could not cling. A ruler must watch, calculate, and cut when necessary. To cling is to be controlled. To detach is to dominate. Practice this discipline daily. Notice what you cling to. Notice where your emotions spike when something shifts beyond your control. That is where attachment hides. Kill it. Cut it off. Starve it until you can look at the thing you once feared losing and feel nothing. That is power. People will accuse you of being selfish, cold, heartless. Let them. They speak from their own chains. They are threatened by your independence because they need your neediness to survive. When you refuse to play the role of the emotional servant, they call you ruthless. Wear that title proudly. Better to be ruthless than to be ruled. The more you detach, the sharper you become. Your silence becomes louder than arguments. Your absence becomes heavier than presence. Your calm becomes harder to shake than anger. This is the essence of inner power. They cannot break you because you no longer need them. They cannot lure you because you are no longer hungry. They cannot trap you because you have no chains left to pull. Detach, not because you hate. Detach because you rule. The next trap is the fear of being alone. The weak call isolation dangerous. They confuse solitude with failure. They think distance means abandonment. They panic when silence surrounds them. This is why they never grow strong. They cannot face themselves without distraction. The truth is brutal. Isolation is not punishment. Isolation is forge. Embrace solitude or remain weak. When you are alone, the illusions fall away. The noise fades. The masks you wear for others drop. In the silence, you face the raw truth of who you are. Every fear, every regret, every insecurity rises. This is not an attack. This is an audit. The mind shows you the weaknesses you must kill. The problem is, most men run. They drown silence with music, with company, with noise, with endless scrolling. They cannot bear to sit alone in the war inside. And because of that, they never sharpen. You must do the opposite. Step into the silence willingly. Sit in the room with nothing but your thoughts and refuse to flee. Let the fears scream. Let the doubts claw. Let the regrets replay. Do not move. Observe. Calculate. Slice them apart one by one. This is not healing. This is training. This is not comfort. This is transformation. Machiavelli thrived in solitude. Alone, he sharpened his thoughts, planned his moves, studied human nature. He built power in the shadows while others wasted time in the light. The same path waits for you. Alone, you gain clarity. Alone, you see the truth of people who broke you. Alone, you design the man you must become. In chosen isolation, you separate yourself from weakness. You stop living as a servant to distractions. You stop begging for company. You stop explaining yourself to people who cannot help you. You build yourself in silence so that when you return different. Not louder, colder, not friendlier, sharper. When a man returns from true isolation, he is either more broken or more dangerous. The broken come back begging for connection. The dangerous return with no need for it. Which one will you become? Isolation is where kings are forged. It is where the weak are broken and the strong are born. The world will tell you to fear it. Ignore them. They fear silence because silence reveals weakness. But you must embrace it. Because silence is the gym of the mind. Step into it. Train inside it. Rise from it. Alone, you build a mind no one can break. Pain is the great equalizer. No one escapes it. It strikes without pattern, without mercy, and without pause. The weak curse it. They collapse beneath it, and then they hide from it. They call it unfair, as if fairness exists. They treat pain like an enemy to avoid, not a weapon to wield. That is why they stay small, shallow, and powerless. Pain is not punishment, it is information. You must stop reacting to pain emotionally and start using it strategically. Every time life hits you, it is not simply hurting you, it is teaching you. It is revealing your weaknesses. It is exposing the cracks in your armor. If betrayal breaks you, it shows you where you trusted too blindly. If failure crushes you, it shows you where you lacked preparation. If loss paralyzes you, it shows you where you built chains of attachment. Pain is the clearest map you will ever be given. The weak ignore the map. They focus only on the wound. They bleed out in public, hoping for pity. They talk endlessly about how unfair it all is. And while they whine, the world studies them. Predators take note of their blind spots. Manipulators take note of their triggers. Enemies take note of their reactions. They make themselves prey by proving exactly how they can be broken. You cannot play that game. When pain hits, your first response is not to cry, not to rage, not to run. Your first response is to analyze. What exactly hurt you? Why did it hurt you? What weakness allowed the strike to land? This is the training. Instead of asking, why me? You ask, where am I exposed? This is the shift from victim to tactician. Pain stops being personal. It becomes data. Cold, precise, brutal. Use it. If someone manipulates you, do not complain about their cruelty. Study what made you fall for it. If someone abandons you, do not drown in self-pity. Study what made you dependent. If someone humiliates you, do not obsess over revenge. Study what made you vulnerable. Every strike against you is a lesson if you are ruthless enough to face it. In time, pain does more than sharpen you after the fact. It trains you to see ahead. You begin to anticipate it. You start reading patterns. You notice lies before they are spoken. You see betrayal forming before it arrives. You sense when someone is unstable, when someone is dangerous, when a situation reeks of failure. That sense is not paranoia. It is the intelligence earned through pain studied, not pain ignored. The weak believe pain breaks them. The strong know pain builds them into strategists. When others react emotionally, you remain calm. When others lash out, you remain still. When others collapse, you recalculate. This calmness, this refusal to be baited, terrifies them. They cannot read you. They cannot provoke you. They cannot break you. Pain is the most brutal teacher, but if you learn from it, you rise above those who only suffer from it. Do not waste your suffering. Convert it. Let every scar sharpen your precision. Let every failure cut away your illusions. Let every betrayal harden your discipline. That is how you stop being prey and start becoming untouchable. The world does not destroy you with force. It destroys you with emotion. It feeds you expectations, guilt, shame, fear. It manipulates you into reacting, into surrendering control, into doing what you swore you never would. It pushes you to forgive when you should cut ties. It pressures you to explain when you should disappear. It urges you to care when you should detach. And every time you obey, you prove yourself weak. Build emotional immunity or be ruled by manipulation. Emotional immunity is not numbness. Numbness is avoidance. Immunity is mastery. It means you feel, but you are not controlled. You hear the insult, but it does not penetrate. You see the betrayal, but it does not shake you. You endure the absence, but it does not own you. You notice everything, but you choose what enters your mind and what dies at the door. The weak fail this test constantly. One cruel word ruins their day. One ignored message destroys their confidence. One failure convinces them they are worthless. They hand their power to others as if it were nothing. They let the smallest event dictate their entire state. That is why they cannot lead themselves, much less others. You must take the opposite path. Build walls around your inner world. Audit every thought, every emotion, every influence. Ask yourself constantly, does this strengthen me or does this weaken me? If it weakens you, cut it out. Cut it ruthlessly, silently, without announcement. You do not need to tell anyone you are done. You only need to act like it. The absence will speak louder than words. This discipline turns you into a threat. Because when people realize they cannot move you emotionally, they lose all leverage. They cannot guilt you into staying. They cannot shame you into submission. They cannot provoke you into reaction. They cannot control you because nothing they do reaches the core anymore. Do not misunderstand. You will still feel, but you will no longer obey. That is the difference. That is what makes you immune. People will call you distant. Let them. They will say you've changed. Let them. They will accuse you of selfishness, coldness, arrogance. Let them. Their accusations reveal more about their weakness than about your strength. They speak that way because they cannot reach you anymore, because they realize the old version of you, the one they could manipulate, is gone. Once you reach emotional immunity, life stops being chaotic. The storms outside cannot disrupt the stillness inside. That stillness is your fortress. It is your weapon. It is what allows you to remain calm when others are screaming, to remain strategic when others are panicking, to remain standing when others have collapsed. That calm terrifies people. They cannot explain it, but they feel it. They feel the control you now own. Emotional immunity is not a mask. It is your evolution. It is the unshakable state where nothing touches you unless you allow it. And in that state, you are free. Power is not only what you do. Power is what you radiate without words. The weak believe presence is about being loud, about demanding attention, about forcing others to notice them. They mistake noise for power. But true presence does not beg. True presence commands without sound. Your presence must become your weapon. Presence is built in silence. It is carved from discipline, from solitude, from inner control. It is not what you show. It is what you withhold. When you enter a room, you do not announce yourself. You do not perform. You do not chase eyes. You simply arrive with calmness so deep, others adjust without knowing why. That is presence. Machiavelli wrote that rulers must appear strong even when they are not. Perception outweighs truth in the game of power. Presence is perception sharpened into a weapon. It makes people cautious with their words. It makes them second-guess their moves. It makes them respect you, even if they do not understand you. How do you build it? By mastering silence, by refusing to overshare, by disciplining your expressions until no one can read your face, by speaking less but making each word carry weight, by letting your absence be felt more strongly than other men's noise. Most men overcompensate. They talk too much, brag too loud, explain too often. They think attention makes them powerful. It does not. It makes them predictable. You must invert this. The less you reveal, the more people wonder. The less you speak, the more people listen when you finally do. The less you chase, the more people feel the loss when you withdraw. Presence is the quiet authority that shifts a room without trying. People straighten their posture when you walk in. They lower their voices. They feel unsettled without knowing why. That is the energy you must cultivate. Cold, unreadable, deliberate. Never explain yourself unnecessarily. Never beg to be understood. Never chase to be included. Your presence must say everything your mouth does not. Let silence speak for you. Let absence punish. Let calmness intimidate. This is not arrogance. This is control. You are not playing the game of attention. You are playing the game of power, and power belongs to the man whose presence changes the room before his words even arrive. Your presence is your weapon. Learn to wield it in silence. There is a point where the storms no longer touch you, where betrayal does not shock you, where failure does not crush you, where loss does not define you. This point is not reached by luck. It is not reached by hope. It is built through discipline, cut by detachment, sharpened by solitude, and welded by pain. It is the point where the mind becomes unbreakable. The weak think an unbreakable mind is born through comfort. They believe if life is kind, they will grow stronger. They believe if people treat them well, they will find peace. But peace borrowed from others is not peace. It is dependence. And dependence is always a weakness waiting to be exposed. You do not become unbreakable by avoiding pain. You become unbreakable by surviving it, studying it, and converting it. Every time life shatters you, you are given two choices: collapse into weakness or construct power from the wreckage. The weak collapse. They beg for rescue. They seek pity. They drown in memory. They rebuild themselves softer, more fragile, more desperate for reassurance. And because of that, they break again, and again, and again. The strong choose differently. They let the wreckage burn. They kill the old version of themselves without hesitation. They build forward, colder, clearer, sharper. They do not waste time asking why it happened. They ask only how it forged them. This is how the unbreakable mind is born. The unbreakable mind is not a mask of false strength. It is not pretending you feel nothing. It is knowing you can feel everything and still not collapse. It is discipline under fire. It is silence in the storm. It is the refusal to surrender your will, no matter what is taken from you. When people test you, you do not react. When betrayal comes, you do not beg. When loss arrives, you do not flinch. When chaos surrounds you, you remain calm. That calm is not emptiness, it is power. It is the knowledge that nothing outside you can break what you own inside. An unbreakable mind does not panic when tested. It recalculates. It does not collapse when struck. It absorbs, adapts, and redirects. It is like steel that bends but never snaps. And when enemies discover this, they fear you, because no matter what they take, they cannot take your center. Machiavelli would call this the ultimate state of rule, invincibility through perception. Not because you fight louder, but because you reveal nothing they can use. Your calm is sharper than anger. Your silence is louder than protest. Your indifference is more punishing than revenge. They cannot destroy what does not respond. This is the cold law of mental power. When the mind becomes unbreakable, the world bows in silence. There is one final trap most never escape. Even when they grow stronger, they remain reactive. They still let the world dictate their movements. They wait for life to test them before they rise. They wait for betrayal before they sharpen. They wait for loss before they detach. Their power is still tied to external blows. That is not rule. That is survival. To rule your mind, you must move beyond reaction. Power does not wait. Power anticipates. Power does not respond to the world. Power shapes it. The weak man only finds strength when forced into it. He calls himself resilient because he can rebuild after collapse. But resilience alone is not rule. Rule begins when you stop waiting for collapse and begin designing yourself deliberately. When you wake each morning and set your stance before life can set it for you. When you plan your moves with precision instead of stumbling into them with desperation. Beyond reaction lies discipline. You rise early not because the world demanded it, but because you demanded it. You train not because you were broken, but because you refused to be. You prepare not because someone betrayed you, but because you know betrayal always waits. This is not paranoia. This is strategy. The strong do not stumble into control. They build it. They build routines sharper than weapons. They build silence into habit. They build discipline into identity. They build anticipation into instinct. This is not a life of chance. This is a life of calculation. Machiavelli knew this. The ruler who reacts is already conquered. The ruler who anticipates is untouchable. When you stop reacting and start ruling, you become unreadable. You are never caught off guard. You are never shocked. You are never owned by sudden change because you already built yourself to endure it. And in that state, you are not surviving, you are commanding. This is the highest stage of mental power, no longer broken, no longer merely hardened, but sovereign. Now everything converges, comfort rejected, emotion disciplined, story rewritten, attachment killed, solitude embraced, pain converted, immunity built, presence weaponized, mind unbreakable, reaction transcended, all paths leading to one way of living, silent rule. Silent rule is the state where your mind belongs only to you, where your thoughts are not dictated by fear, where your emotions are not hijacked by others, where your choices are not bent by attachment, where your silence is not emptiness but control. In this state, life cannot break you because there is nothing left it can use against you. Imagine this. You sit in a room after betrayal. You feel the sting, but you do not collapse. You do not call anyone. You do not explain yourself. You do not beg. You sit. You breathe. You analyze the wound like a tactician studying the battlefield. You see clearly why it happened. You see what it taught you. You rewrite the meaning. You detach from what you lost. You rise with sharper eyes and a colder stance. And when you walk back into the world, you say nothing. But everyone feels the difference. That is silent rule. This is not a performance. It is not arrogance. It is the way of survival in a world built to break you. Machiavelli's cold law is not about cruelty. It is about control. Control over yourself so absolute that the world cannot touch you. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be soft. You are here to become untouchable, to walk with silence as your weapon, with calm as your armor, with discipline as your crown. Life will break others. It will not break you. Because you have trained your mind, because you have killed weakness, because you have chosen rule over reaction, and now you know the final truth. He who owns his mind owns the world.